I need a tissue. I didn't expect to cry so much. Stand by. Hey friends, welcome to my channel. I'm AmandaMuse, and today's video is episode 2 of a series I'm putting together this month where I'm walking you through kind of the last 10 years of my life here on YouTube, but also just sort of transitioning you to where I will be taking my channel for the remainder of the foreseeable future. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just transitioning. When you've spent a decade doing something, especially creating content, you're naturally going to find things that are interesting and things that aren't so interesting anymore. So there's a bunch of stuff I'm leaving behind and some things I want to try, and I'm going to take you guys with me. So if you happen to be jumping on this video and didn't catch the first one, I'm going to link it below, but also up in the eye. Feel free to click it, go watch episode 1, and then come on back for episode 2. Okay, today we are going to jump back to the last 2 years, basically. It kind of feels like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the clouds are parting and we're just getting back to living. In my professional life, events are happening again. I get to dress up, I get to go places, I get to do some overnights, I'm speaking at events. It is thrilling to just get out of this office, these 4 walls that have served me very well the last 2 years, but it's just lovely to get back out there doing what I love to do. Personally, there's just stuff happening again. My kids have soccer practice and games, and my husband's back to work, which is probably the most chef's kiss, delicious part of this whole experience, and we're definitely going to talk about that, but it just feels normal, and I'm so here for it. I kind of don't want to say that too loudly though, because I don't want anyone to take it away. It's amazing. It's just doing wonders for my mental health. So before I tell you everything that's going on like right now in our new normal, I want to take you back over the last 2 years and just share a little bit about this, what this journey has been like for our family specifically. And I know I'm not alone in having experienced some hardships, whether it's been personal, financial, health, your job, relationships. There's been a lot that's gone down, and I feel so grateful to have this platform and to have been able to share my journey with you, and likewise, you guys sharing with me. And so let's just take it back. March 13th just stays in my mind, 2020. Why that date is specifically ingrained is because I'm pretty sure it was the Friday before March break. Also, P.S., it's really interesting as you talk about things that have caused you an enormous amount of stress, your body, a person's body, can start to react weird, and I literally just lost my breath. So we are going to get past this part rather quickly because I find it particularly difficult. It was a trauma. It is a trauma, and I'm still working through it, right? But basically, that was the Friday before March break. I remember I kept my daughter home from school, and we did a massive grocery haul. Because I just, there was the rumblings about the low groceries and the toilet paper was vanishing off the shelves, and it was weird. Now, simultaneously, my husband had just started a new job, and he was the very last group of pilots to be accepted into this particular airline, and they were working their way through the ground school training. And it's such a mind fuck about how all of that went down, because we had avoided joining this particular airline for years. And I say we because we're a family. We've been together for so long. When a person takes a job, it affects the whole family, right? So we had avoided taking this job or going this route because we just knew that once Dean did get this job, it was so wonderful with the benefits for our family in terms of the travel passes, like lifelong travel passes for me and my children, passes for his parents, friend passes that I can travel with. Like, that is so exciting to me. But then furthermore, the pension opportunities and the health and medical benefits and all of that kind of stuff is just, those kind of benefits exist at other airlines, don't get me wrong, but just there was a lot kind of in this particular job. So when we took it, it felt like, wow, we're going to stay in Canada. We're going to establish our roots. I think we've always kind of had this one foot out the door kind of thing. When you've lived overseas and done a life that colors outside the lines, it's very exciting, and it is like a thirst that can't be quenched. we dream about living in other places all the time. Like, that's never going to go away. But that particular job was like, we're going to stay. And then, no joke, like 2-3 weeks after he started his ground school, the whole world shut down. So that was a bit of a blow. So let's just skip through all the awful stuff. So basically, Dean immediately lost his job. And when I say lost, he was furloughed, meaning they kept him on the pay, the being paid for a little bit. And then eventually, when the world was just not coming back, the airline had to take a bunch of people and make a decision that, okay, we're going to put these guys on unemployment. And so then Dean had unemployment benefits for a bit. But then the world still wasn't opened up, and Dean and I had made a plan where we could get through life on one income up until a certain point, and then at that certain point, we had to come up with a different plan. And it was about, I think it was like, I'm forgetting, honestly. I'm forgetting the exact specifics because I think my brain is trying to wash it away. But, we got to that point where we were like, oh no, we got to come up with a plan B here. And then that's when Dean launched Friendo Apothecary, which is a candle company. And that has been a beautiful, that's something beautiful that's come out of this time. But it was under serious duress that we came up with this concept, and that he did all of the research. And, we've talked about this plenty, and I will link some videos that you might find interesting on how we came about this business plan and how it came to be. We are also still currently selling candles. So if you want some of those, check it out. Friendo Apothecary. But basically, it was like out of pure necessity. Like, we have this opportunity where I have this amazing community that, come back to me and trust what I say and do, and maybe they might be interested in a product. I don't know. So we came up with this candle business and we ran with it. And that was able to bring in a considerable amount of revenue that it was able to truly sustain us for several months until the world came back, to functioning. So that was the Dean side of things. And I'm really glossing over the impact of job loss on a family because it's so layered. It's mental health, it's your worth, it's the dynamic. I mean, when you're accustomed to a certain lifestyle and then that lifestyle overnight is changed, there's some transitions that are uncomfortable. It was just a lot of uncertainty. And so one thing I'm really grateful for is that we made some decisions before all of this happened where we try to live a little lower. Like, we bought a house that we could afford on one income, and we bought, we have cars that are not the newest cars, but they work really well, and they don't have monthly payments, and things like that. Like, all these little, it's like death by 1,000 cuts, right? Like, it's all these little things that can really take away from your day to day. And so we made some decent, I wouldn't say incredible, but decent financial decisions to help us along the way. So in order for all of that to keep ticking along, insert Amanda really having to step up. My work ethic has never been in question. I love to work hard, especially when I'm passionate about something. And so thankfully, this particular industry, it dipped for a moment because the whole world kind of went on pause there, I think in the spring of 2020. But then by summer, brand partnerships were coming back, and I was able to continue to generate an income to support my family, which was such a blessing. Oh my goodness. But here's the trouble. When you're working in a creative space, and you're constantly having to come up with something creative, it can be really challenging when all you're seeing are these four walls. And so as a lifestyle creator, that was particularly challenging because if you take a peek at my Instagram right now, we're going out, we're doing things, we're shopping, we're having lunch out on the town. I'm taking you with me for adventures, and just you wait. I'm just waiting for Jack's passport to come back, and then we're gonna be going around and doing things. Oh, but that's a video for another day. We're not talking about the excitement of what's to come. I'm just trying to share what happened. So all of that stress that comes with supporting a family of four on one income, it took its toll. And there was a period of time where all of a sudden I started to experience what I would classify as pretty severe panic attacks. And they would happen to me at night. It was like night terrors to the power of 100. Really, really bad. And the trouble is that when I would have a panic attack, it would then suck my energy out for like 2 or 3 days following the experience. Because it was like this battle in my mind and against my body. Here's my body in fight or flight, and my mind's trying to calm it down, but then keeps freaking out and then tries to calm it down for hours and hours and hours, and I would just be completely drained. And then the stress of then, like, I can't just take 2 or 3 days off. I have to work. I have to function. I have to provide for my family. And it was this cycle that I just thought, please, somebody get me off this damn ride. I don't want to do it anymore, you know? Now, over the years, I've done lots of talk therapy, and fitness has always been really important to me, and movement, and I try to do all of these things in my toolbox that I know will help me be a cool, calm, and collected person overall. And I will say that there is a ton of mental health stuff in my family history, like big picture. So I've always been very aware of when my mood shifts and when I need a little bit more help. Insert antidepressants. Ching! There's none here, because I have news. But I started an antidepressant in 2021, and it was a bit rocky in terms of the shame shitstorm that was occurring internally, that I needed medication to get through the day. And even though I consider myself like a woke person who does all of this emotional intelligence work on herself and like all of this, and yet I still felt disappointed, Felt disappointed, but was working past those feelings and working through them. And I even share them with you. I'll link that video where my first 3 months on an antidepressant and what that journey was like. And they really, really helped. Like, praise hands for temporary situations that can use temporary solutions. Are my panic attacks something that I'm going to deal with for the rest of my life? Maybe not though, because I hadn't had them in about 10 plus years when they started to creep in again. So I'm happy to report, actually, that effective today, day 1, no pills. I've been speaking with my family doctor, and I recently had a big checkup, and I decided with her that, it's time for me to wean. I'm feeling really good. So many of the stressors and the triggers that were happening at the time in 2021 they're not there anymore. And I feel good. And a part of me even started to numb out a bit, because I think I'm very visual. So the way that I can describe it is like, okay, here's most people's baseline, right? Up and down, up and down. And so for me, I feel like I was like down here. I just couldn't, with exercise, talk therapy, rest, I just could not get myself to everyone else's baseline. And then you'd have a good day and you'd be up here and I'm like, hi, down here, right? So I feel like the antidepressants just leveled out the playing field a little bit. So my ups and downs would happen, but I wouldn't dip too low and I wouldn't peak too high. But then what happened is my stressors went away, and all of a sudden, it's like I just started to not have motivation and not have energy and not have good sleeps and really, really bad vivid dreams. Like, I cannot wait for those to be 100% gone and all of the drugs to be out of my system, because the medication has a shelf life. I think it's like 72 hours. So, is that called shelf life? No, is that called half-life? There's a term, but it's basically the length of time that it stays in your body. And so I've been weaning now for 2 weeks on a half dose, and I experienced a lot of nausea. I think it might be worthwhile for me to share a separate video where I kind of go through that process, because I will say it's not something I just did by myself. With the help of my family doctor, I shared it with everyone that was important to me in my inner circle. And I mean, even shared it online, but like people like my husband and my dad and my mom and my kids, and like, this is what I'm doing. So if I have headaches or if I'm not feeling my best, that's why. And like, let's just be patient with Amanda, which I think is really important to do when you're going through anything big. It doesn't help. It doesn't serve you to go through something tricky by yourself. Let people in, right? Let them in. So I will say that time, like once the antidepressants kicked in, oh my word, I was able to go out and be in public and not be super triggered. I could then come home and just go to bed and not have panic attacks for 8 hours. And it was like, wow, right? So they helped. It was a temporary, probably one of the most challenging things I've personally ever been through, and trust that I've been through some things, because like over that time, if you remember, my dad went through massive cancer stuff. I don't know the name of his cancer because it's like a very long cancer name, but it was here, and he had surgery, and he had like radiation, the thing that looks like a mask, and he did radiation for a long time, and that was really tricky. My dad, he is just like a single guy going through life, and I worry about him a lot. I think we worry about our parents, but especially like he doesn't have a partner to rely on, and so I felt a lot of responsibility to like make sure dad was okay. So it was tricky, right? Like when you're not 100% yourself, and then you're trying to offer support and love to someone else because that's what you want to do, but then your body's like, we can't handle it all. That's kind of what was happening. So thank God for SSRIs. No joke. Produce all the serotonin because I was not producing enough. And then I had my own skin cancer situation, which was, in hindsight, it's like if I got another basal cell carcinoma, I don't think I would be as freaked out because I've been through it, which PS, that's like very much my personality. If I don't know what to expect, Amanda's going to trip balls. Like that's just who I am. So if it happens again, which chances are pretty high because I just have the skin type where my cells get a little weird and create a basal cell carcinoma, I can handle it. But at the time, I could not handle it. It was like too much. I just couldn't. Any little bing was just too much. I could not handle one more thing. Who else felt like that over the last 2 years? So much. The burden of parents, the burden of being caregivers, the burden of having to show up. It didn't feel like a burden of having to show up online, because many of you may be like, okay, well, you could have got another job. Kind of, but not really. Like, I have certain skills that are pretty darn specific at this point, and it doesn't quite translate to all sorts of other companies. And so, yeah, I couldn't just walk away and start new. Like, I had to continue to do what was working. And that was a very, like, it left its mark. It left its mark on me. And it was really tricky. The other side of it is when you're going through all of this stuff. So I shared with you what Dean was going through, and then I shared with you what I was going through. So now you've got two people who are supposed to, like, stay married and, like, do this thing called life and agree on stuff and cope in healthy ways. No. That was not the case. And we definitely shared quite vulnerably some of the things that were going on. And we did the couples therapy. We did the exercising. We did the not exercising. We built a workout room in our basement. Like, we fought a ton. We loved a ton. It was so challenging. And I remember just thinking to myself in some of my really low, dark moments that I was refusing to let the pandemic destroy my marriage. I was going to say a lifetime together, but Dean and I have been together for 18 years. And I was like, there's no fucking way that I'm going to allow this shitstorm that's occurring, this crap that's completely out of our control, to ruin everything that we've shared and built over the last 18 years. No way was I allowing that to happen. Even though sometimes I really wanted to run away from everyone. And sometimes I really didn't like Dean. Okay. But it was a lot. But I actively it gives me chills, truly. I actively was like, choose to not react to XYZ. Dean did not leave his job. He was forced out of his job. Like, there was so many like moments where I just had to sit with myself and do some serious reflection, some heavy therapy sessions, which I highly recommend. And yeah, we're here on the other side of it. I mean, truthfully, there was a point there where I was like, all right, try not to get emotional. Stand by. There was a point when I thought that I was going to have to sell my house. And like, I love this house, I cried when I did the first walkthrough of this house because like, I didn't grow up with all this stuff, My parents were young when they started a family, and they were not very well suited for one another, and there was a divorce, and divorces like can really impact families financially. And so I didn't expect to get so emotional, but I was like, I would have worked like 18, 20-hour days to make sure that I didn't lose my house and I didn't like change my children's lives, you know? And I fucking did it. Like I did it, man. Like the confidence that comes from doing what you set out to do it's going to be with me forever. Like, I am so firmly rooted in my skill set and like what I can do. Like nobody can take that away from me. Like I remember when I used to like stutter when I would tell people what I do for work. Now, I'm like, did you hear? Like there were conversations I had to have with myself that was like, Amanda, if you need to sell your house because the burden financially is too heavy, then that's what you need to do. And you will downsize and you will sell the things you need to sell and you will pick up a second job or whatever you need to do. And I will say, like, Dean was on the exact same page. So he started the candle business because we had this opportunity and it was ridiculous to not take this opportunity. I mean, so many of you were like, how can we help? You know, so many of you didn't lose your jobs. So many of you didn't have that same burden. And so you wanted to help me. And I couldn't just like take donations. No. So I thought, well, if we make a product and then people want to buy it and they like the product, win, right? So he did that. And then right before he got called back, which he got called back in March. So right before he got called back to his job, we had made a plan that like, you know, his resume was up to speed now. And like a aviation resume is very different from a regular resume. So we adjusted it to make it make sense. Oh, hold on. I forgot like all the heavy emotions that come from that time. To watch your partner go through all of that. It did some damage, you know? So I didn't expect to get so fucking emotional. But we're a team and we did it. And when he got that call that he was going back, you guys, I thought I had died and gone to heaven. And I don't even know if I believe in heaven, but I'm not kidding. I screamed so much, like I could not stop yelling that I freaked Dean out. He was like, can you stop yelling? I need a tissue. I didn't expect to cry so much. Stand by. Goodness gracious. What did I say at the start of this video? Your body holds on to things, right? As much as like my head is like, girl, you're good. My body's like, nah, just kidding. But we're going to get past the hard stuff because it was really hard. But there was that point where we were like, all right, if we have to do this, we're going to do this. We're not going to go down in like a, dumpster fire situation. We're going to come at this with level heads. And if we need to sell our home, because in Ontario, by the way, where I live, there was a serious, like, all the houses were ridiculously expensive. So we were going to make bank on our house. And so we were able to not sell our house, which is like amazing. And we made some different decisions and we just kind of like batten down the hatches. We're going to get through this. I will have Dean on for episode 5 for a Q&A. So I want to prompt you, if you have any questions that you would like us to tackle, you can start leaving them under the videos in this series. And then I will put them all together and we'll tackle all the questions for the final video of this series. So once we got the news in March, I was like, what? Golden. I was ticking along, podcasting, doing the videos, 2-3 times a week. I was just like Instagram, I was doing everything. And then as the news really started to just settle, it dawned on me how exhausted I was, how positively burnt the F out I was, and I just needed to just lay down. And I think without even consciously realizing it, I just kind of put a lot of stuff down. I pretty much just walked away from my podcast. More on that in a little bit. I stopped producing YouTube videos. I just I could not. It was an empty well, and I just needed to take care of myself. And that happens, and just knowing that Dean's job was back and that, oh my God, he was going to start getting paid again. I just was like, I just need a little break. And I took it. And here we are. On the other side. You probably couldn't tell I'm on the other side because of all the tears. It kind of snuck up on me because this isn't a story I tell every day. But I'm so excited to be, on the other side of all of that and to be feeling energized about where I'm going with my channel and excited about making content again. I mean, if you're following me on TikTok, you get a little spicier version because I'm done with playing by the rules. I want to have fun. I want to just be me. I've always been me, but I've been me with a little bit more conservative, and so I'm done with that. No, I just want to live. I want to create. I want to live. I want to have fun, and I can't wait to take you guys with me. And that's what this series is about. I want you to just, first of all, I want to show gratitude for all of my viewers who are the ones that come back for me, that don't just get the random videos, that are curious about my life and my family and support us through this journey and bought the candles if they could. And this series is for you. It's for you to just feel like, we did it, man. We freaking did it. And I suppose the biggest announcement is that, as I was saying, I'm done with antidepressants. I'm never going to be someone that says that you need to be on them or you need to be off them. You need to do what your body needs and what your mind needs. I just noticed I was having a lot of conversations about motivation, about how tired I was, how low my sex drive was, how much weight I was putting on, and none of it made sense. I was like, what is happening? I didn't have those side effects initially, but all of a sudden it was in about a matter of 2-3 months time, everything changed. And so that was a real indication. I was like, wait, maybe it's time for me to come off of them. And I had a lot of fear of coming off of them. I thought I was going to feel awful. P.S. I mostly just had some headaches and some nausea, pretty serious nausea, but we're out of that now. And I'll be curious to see how the next week is with me, having the medication really just filter out of my system. But I'm working out again. I did my first run in a really long time today on the treadmill, and I felt amazing. And I think the biggest thing is that I've been practicing meditation, and it's always been on my bucket list of something to try and do. And now I realize it's a requirement because, just because I stop taking medication and just because I stop having so many of the stressors that I've always had, it doesn't mean that life will not throw something at you at some point. And I just want to be ready and have all of my skill sets, all the tools ready to go when something happens and not be looking for them as shit arises. Yeah, so I feel really good about it. And I just wanted to share, that was the last 2 years. And I can't believe I'm here telling you that I'm still married, still have a house, still enjoy my gig that I'm doing. I'm actually excited about things to come, and that Dean is back to work. There are so many exciting things happening this summer. I have so much to tell you, but I'm going to wait for next week's episode 3, which is going to be real vlog style, what life is like right now. I can't wait to take you with me. I know that my kids, as they get older, and because of consent, I don't show them as much. I think it's so important for your kids to feel in control, especially as a parent who chooses to share their life in the public eye. And so they may have some things they want to share with you, but what's coming up for them. But I am bursting with joy. And I feel so much gratitude for my life, and I hope you feel that. I hope you feel that because you are a huge part of that. Seriously. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you're new. That's a heavy video if that's your first video you saw. Sorry about that. I have much lighter and fun ones. I'll try to link some of those too, and I'll catch you guys next week. Bye.